The galaxy had been bleeding for centuries. Empires clashed, fleets burned, planets were turned into ash. For so long, the war seemed endless. Victories meant nothing because new enemies always rose again. Generals became old men at their command. Tables, and still, the galaxy spun in fire. Nobody thought it could ever change. Nobody believed peace was possible. Then the humans arrived. They came from a quiet corner of space. Unknown, untested, and ignored. At first, the older races laughed. Humans were soft, fragile, too emotional. Their technology was crude there, ships simple. They weren't even worth a second thought. No one expected them to last a single battle, but the first time they joined the war, everything shifted. Human fleets entered the battlefield without hesitation. Their tactics were strange, reckless, almost suicidal. They did things no other race would even dare. They charged into traps, split their ships in impossible maneuvers, and used weapons in ways no one else had imagined. And in only 5 hours, an enemy fleet that had ruled for centuries was gone. The galaxy froze. Armies that had fought for decades, in deadlock, were suddenly reminded what true war looked like. Among the stunned soldiers was Captain Rian. He had seen battle before, but nothing like this. And after the flames settled, he and his strike team were sent down to the surface of a ruined outpost. Their orders were simple: search for survivors, recover intel, and secure prisoners, if any lived. The planet was broken. Black smoke rose from shattered towers. Fire crawled across the ground, eating the ruins. The stench of burned metal and flesh filled the air. His boots crunched against glass and bone with every step. That was when he heard it: laughter. Not loud, not hysterical, soft, amused, almost like someone enjoying a private joke. He raised his rifle. His team spread out. They followed the sound until they reached what had once been a prison block. Most of the cells were smashed open, corpses still inside. But in the deepest cell, chained against a wall, was a woman. No, not just a woman, something far more dangerous. Her skin shimmered faintly in the dim firelight, a pale silver glow. Smooth and flawless. Her hair spilled down her shoulders in long waves of black, glossy like liquid night. Her lips were full, curved in a smile, too confident for someone chained and beaten. And her eyes, sharp, burning gold, watched Rian with wicked delight. She was beautiful, too beautiful, and she knew it. "Well," she said, her voice rich and teasing, "I was wondering when someone interesting would show up. Tell me, Captain, do humans enjoy watching women in chains, or are you here to play the hero?" His men shifted uneasily. Some averted their eyes. Others pretended to check corners. But Rian kept his gaze locked on her. Her body was lean, strong, built like a predator. Even bruised and bloodied, she radiated danger. "You're a prisoner," he said firmly. "That makes you my responsibility." "Prisoner," she laughed, low and amused. "Darling, I'm no one's prisoner. These chains?" She lifted her wrists, letting the metal clink. "Their decoration? I could have left any time. I just stayed, waiting for someone worth my time." Her words were poison, and yet they pulled him closer. Rian stepped forward, scanning the chains. They were alien steel, tough enough to bind monsters. Whoever had put her here hadn't wanted her escaping, which meant she was either dangerous beyond reason or valuable beyond measure. "What's your name?" he asked. "Names are for lovers," she said with a slow smile. "But you can call me Zyra." His team exchanged glances. The name was unfamiliar, alien, but her voice wrapped around it like silk, making it sound forbidden. Rian hesitated. Every instinct screamed not to trust her, and yet, something about her presence made the firelight burn hotter, made the ruined prison feel suddenly too small, too intimate. She leaned forward, letting the chains tighten around her body. Her lips curved in a smirk. "What's wrong, Captain?" "Afraid if you touch me, you won't stop." Ch. One of his men coughed, muttering under his breath. Another turned away quickly, face flushed. Rian forced his voice steady. "We're here to recover survivors. If you're alive, you're coming with us. Her golden eyes narrowed, but the smile didn't fade. So serious, so noble. Really? Are human? Fine, Captain. Take me with you, but be warned. She tilted her head, her voice dropping to a whisper. I bite. The way she said it sent a shiver down his spine. Against his better judgment, Rian moved closer and cut the chains. They fell to the ground with a heavy clang. For a moment, she stayed still, rubbing her wrists. Then slowly she rose to her feet. She was taller than he expected, her body lithe but powerful, moving with the grace of a predator. She stepped toward him, closer than necessary, her lips almost brushing his ear as she whispered again, "Thank you." "Captain." The air felt heavy. His men shifted uncomfortably, waiting for orders. But before he could speak, Zyra leaned back and smiled wickedly. "You should have left me in the chains." And in that instant, Rian realized something she hadn't been abandoned. She had been left here as a trap. The enemy hadn't killed her because they knew what she was. Beautiful, deadly, and now the chains lay broken at Zyra's feet. The sound of metal on stone echoed too loudly in the ruined cell, as if announcing to the galaxy itself that something dangerous had been unleashed. Rian's men looked at him, uncertain. Some kept there, weapons raised. Others stared at her body, unable to help themselves, even though they knew it was wrong. Her beauty wasn't just beauty, it was a weapon. She wielded it like a sword. Zyra stretched her arms slowly, the movement lazy but graceful, like a cat waking from a nap. Her bruises caught the flickering light, but even those looked more like marks of pride than wounds. Then she tilted her head, her golden eyes sliding across the soldiers until they stopped on Rian. "You smell like gunpowder and sweat," she said softly, almost laughing. "I like it. Very raw. Very human." One of his men muttered, "Captain, we should leave her. She's dangerous." Dangerous wasn't even the right word. Rian knew it the moment she stepped close. Her presence carried heat, tension, something that pulled at the air itself. He wanted to order her restrained, wanted to keep distance, but something inside whispered that it was already too late. "We move out," Rian said, his voice harder than he felt. "Bring her." Zyra smiled as if she had won a game. "Captain, you're taking me home already." "How fast?" "Quiet," he snapped. She leaned close enough for only him to hear. "If you wanted me quiet, Captain, you should have left the chains on." The soldiers moved out of the prison block, weapons scanning the ruins. Ziara walked beside them, but not like a prisoner. She didn't shuffle or stumble, she glided, her steps light, her gaze sharp, taking in everything. It wasn't the walk of a captive. It was the walk of a predator scouting new territory. The smoke outside was thicker now. The ground trembled from distant bombardments still striking the planet. They had little time. Their shuttle was parked 2 kilometers west, hidden in a canyon. Getting there meant cutting through burning streets and collapsed towers. Rian led the way, his rifle raised, senses alert. But he felt her eyes on him, always on him, as though she could see straight through his armor into his skin. "So tell me, Captain," Zyra said lightly, her voice carrying despite the noise. "Do all humans fight like that? I watched your fleet above. You don't move like the others. Too chaotic, too bold. You fight like you're not afraid of death." "That's because we aren't," one soldier answered before Rian could. Zyra's smile widened. "Not afraid of death? Or too stupid to understand it?" The soldier scowled. "Say that again?" "Enough," Rian ordered. His men fell silent, though tension hung in the air. Zyra laughed softly. "Oh, Captain, they obey you so well. It must be exhausting. It's being the only one here who thinks with more than his weapon." The way she said it made the soldier redden, and one of the others bit back a laugh. Even chained moments ago, she had them dancing on her words. The group pressed on, moving through ruined streets where shadows stretched long. Fires snapped and hissed. The smell of burned flesh made the stomach turn. Rian forced himself to focus, but Zyra's voice slipped through the smoke like a song. "I know why they left me alive," she said suddenly. Rian glanced back at her. "Why?" Her eyes glimmered. Because I asked them to. The soldiers froze. One whispered, "What the hell does that mean?" Zaira kept walking, her hips swaying lazily, her smile sharp. "They chained me, yes, but only because I let them. I told them I'd stay, and they believed me. Fools. Everyone always believes me." The men glanced at Rian, waiting for his command. Should they cuff her again? Should they silence her? But Rian kept walking. He couldn't let her see that her words got under his skin. Still, they did. She wasn't lying. He could feel it. She had stayed there, waiting for someone, and the way she looked at him made it clear she had been waiting for him. Why? They crossed into the ruins of a marketplace. Burned stalls and shattered glass covered the street. Silence was thick, broken only by distant thunder of battle. But suddenly, a new sound drifted in. Footsteps. Rian raised his hand, halting the team. The soldiers dropped to cover, rifles up. Shadows moved between the wreckage. "Enemy patrol, ambush," whispered one of his men. Rian scanned quickly. 10 hostiles, maybe 12. Too many for open fight. He signaled for silence. But Zira didn't crouch. She stood tall, smiling at the shadows. Rian hissed, "Get down." She turned her golden eyes to him and purred, "Why hide, Captain, when you could make them kneel?" Then, before anyone could stop her, she stepped into the open street. Enemy patrol spotted her instantly. Weapons raised. Shouts echoed. But before they fired, she spoke a single word in a language none of the humans understood. Her voice rolled through the air like silk dipped in fire, and then the impossible happened. The enemy soldiers froze, their rifles lowered. One by one, they dropped to their knees, eyes glazed, faces slack. The humans stared in shock. "What the hell?" One whispered. Zaira glanced back at them, her smile dangerous and amused. "See, Captain? No chains, no fear. Just words." Rian's heart hammered. He had known she was dangerous. But this was something else. She wasn't just beautiful. She wasn't just cunning. She was a weapon unlike anything he had seen. She walked back to him, slow and confident, as the kneeling enemies stayed silent behind her like statues. She leaned in close, her lips almost brushing his cheek as she whispered, "Do you understand now why they didn't kill me?" He forced himself to answer, his voice low. "You're a monster." Her laugh was soft, wicked. "No, Captain, I'm survival. And right now, you need me more than I need you." The canyon stretched wide before them, jagged rocks rising like the ribs of some dead beast. Their shuttle was hidden at the far end, but reaching it would not be simple. The smoke from burning cities had carried here, settling in waves that distorted vision and muffled sound. The squad moved carefully, rifles raised, nerves high. Every shadow felt alive. The enemy might still be hunting them, though none of the kneeling soldiers from before had moved. They had stayed frozen, silent, statues left behind in the ruins, a haunting image none of the humans could forget. Zira walked among them as if she owned the canyon. Chains gone, wrists bare, her movements carried no urgency. She didn't march like a soldier, she didn't duck like prey, she moved like a queen, forcing everyone else to shape their steps around her. Rian hated how much she unsettled the squad. His men were good soldiers, disciplined, loyal. They had followed him through fire. But now, their eyes kept slipping toward her. Some looked with suspicion, hands twitching on their triggers. Others looked with hunger, unable to help it. None of them saw her as just another rescued prisoner. They saw what she wanted them to see, and every time she caught one of their stares, she smiled a slow, knowing smile that said she could break them with a word. "Captain," one soldier whispered harshly as they pressed against a canyon wall. "Can't take her with us. She's wrong. Look at what she did back there. She's not safe." "Shut it," Rian said. "We're not leaving her." The soldier hissed. "Why not?" Before Rian could answer, Zira leaned close to the man, her breath brushing his ear. "Because he wants me?" The soldier flinched back as if burned. Rian's jaw tightened. "That's enough," he growled. Zira laughed softly, her voice sliding into the silence like honey poured into poison. "Oh, Captain, Don't glare like that. You'll make me blush. Another soldier muttered under his breath. She's playing with us. Of course she was. But even knowing it didn't stop her from weaving her threads deeper, they moved further into the canyon. The air grew colder, shadows sharper. Rocks shifted under their boots. Somewhere above, the distant growl of engines echoed. They had to move fast. Stay close, Rion ordered. But then Zyra's voice came again, soft but cutting through the wind. You know why they kneel when I speak, don't you, Captain? Rion ignored her. She stepped in front of him, forcing him to meet her eyes. Those golden orbs glowed faintly like molten metal. 'Cause they want me. Just like your men do. Just like you do. Desire is a chain stronger than iron, stronger than your weapons. I don't command them. Let them surrender. One soldier spat on the ground. Disgusting. Her gaze flicked to him, and she smiled. Would you like to test it, human? You'll be on your knees in seconds, begging for a touch. The soldier raised his rifle halfway, but Rian's voice cut sharp. Stand down. The canyon held stillness again, heavy and suffocating. Rian pushed ahead, forcing the squad to move. But the words hung in the air like smoke. Desire is a chain, and he hated how much truth lay in it. Minutes dragged into an hour. As they navigated the rocks, the air thinned. The path narrowed. And then, at last, the shuttle came into view, hidden under a natural arch of stone. Relief flooded the squad. It quickened their pace, but Zyra didn't. She slowed. Her eyes scanned the sky. Her smile faded into something sharper. Rian noticed immediately. What is it? It's too quiet, she whispered, as if summoned by her. Words, the canyon roared alive. Explosions cracked across the ridge. Fire rained down as enemy dropships broke through the clouds, flooding the canyon with light and steel. The ground shook. Rocks split apart. Ambush. Rian shouted. The squad scattered for cover, firing upward. Enemy troops rappelled down ropes, rifles blazing. The canyon became a furnace of screams and gunfire. Rian snapped shots at two soldiers, dropping toward him, cutting them down. He got his men. Held position, but they were outnumbered 3-1. Zyra stood in the open, untouched by bullets. Her hair whipped in the wind. Her golden eyes burned. She raised her voice above the chaos, speaking words none of them understood. And once again, the impossible happened. Some of the enemy froze mid-attack, ropes swinging as their bodies stiffened. They dropped their rifles. They hung there, suspended, eyes blank, as if their will had been stolen. But not all of them. Others fought harder, screaming in rage. Rian realized it in an instant. Her power wasn't absolute. It bent some minds. Not all. Still, the battlefield shifted. His squad surged forward, pressing the advantage. But Zyra didn't stop. Her voice climbed higher, sharper, like a song that tore through the bones. And as it did, something else changed. His own men faltered. One soldier lowered his gun. Another blinked slowly, sweat dripping, his lips parting as if caught in a dream. Rian's blood ran cold. She wasn't just turning enemies. She was reaching into his squad. Stop, he shouted at her, but she didn't. Her gaze was locked on him, glowing hotter with each word she spoke. The soldier nearest her dropped to his knees, staring up at her with wide, hungry eyes. Another stumbled forward, hand outstretched like a man in a trance. Rian fired into the air, breaking their focus. Snap out of it! For a moment, the spell broke. The men shook their heads, gasping. Pleasure, oh Captain, she purred. You can fight me? But you can't fight what's already inside them. Desire, hunger, weakness, they all want me. Even you. Rian's chest heaved with rage. Shut your mouth. She tilted her head, smiling wickedly. Make me. And then she turned her gaze back to the enemies above, pulling them deeper into her thrall. The canyon shook with fire. But the greater battle was not against the enemy, was against the woman they had set free. The woman who walked like a queen and chained with desire, and in that chaos, one thought carved itself into Rian's mind. Cold and brutal, he hadn't rescued her. She had chosen him. The canyon battle bled into silence. Smoke curled from the rocks, glowing red where fire still licked. The enemy had retreated, or perhaps they had been broken by her voice. Either way, the canyon floor was littered with wreckage. Rian's squad, regrouped, bruised, bloodied, but alive. They kept their rifles ready, eyes darting between shadows. Not a single man dared to look at Zyra directly. Not after what she had done. She walked among the dead with bare feet, stepping over bodies like they were nothing more than stones in a stream. Her silver skin gleamed under the broken moonlight. Untouched by dirt or ash, she paused, crouching near a corpse. The soldiers tensed. But all she did was dip a finger into a pool of blood and draw a line across her lips. Tasting it. Savages, one man muttered in disgust. Her gaze shot up, lips stained crimson, smile wicked. Savages survive. That's why your kind has. A chance no one replied. Silence pressed heavier than the smoke. Rian finally broke it. We move now. The squad obeyed, though reluctantly. They marched deeper toward the shuttle, boots crunching on stone. Zyra walked alongside Rian, her stride slow, deliberate, brushing against his arm every few steps. You're trembling, she said softly. I'm not. Her smile widened. Not on the outside, no. But I can hear it, Captain. Your breath. You're fighting me harder than any soldier ever has. Stay out of my head, she laughed. She laughed to sound both beautiful and mocking. I don't have to go in. You give yourself away with every glance. He clenched his jaw, refusing to look at her, but she leaned closer, her voice dropping low enough only he could hear. Do you dream of me already, Rian? Of my skin against? Yours of my voice whispering darker things than orders? He snapped his rifle up suddenly, pointing it at her chest. The squad froze in shock. Enough, he growled. For the first time she looked surprised. Her golden eyes widened, not in fear, but delight. Slowly, she placed her hand on the barrel of his rifle, lowering it gently. There it is, she whispered. Strength. I wondered how long you'd last before you broke. Rian shoved the weapon back into his grip and turned away, fury boiling. In his chest, she wasn't afraid of death. She wanted to be tested. She wanted him to push back. And worse, he wanted to. They marched on, the canyon narrowing. The air grew colder, every sound amplified. At one bend, Zyra stopped suddenly, tilting her head. They're watching. The squad froze, weapons raised. Rian scanned the cliffs, but saw nothing. Where? Zyra's smile returned, slow and dangerous. She pointed upward. Everywhere. Then the rocks shifted. Dark figures emerged, stepping out of camouflage tall. Armored soldiers with jagged blades instead of rifles. Silent hunters, eyes glowing blue. The squad fired instantly, but the hunters moved faster than human reflexes. Bullets ripped flesh. But many kept coming, blades flashing in the smoke. It became chaos again. Rian fought hard, blade against rifle stock, smashing one enemy down. His men screamed, fighting desperately. Blood sprayed the rocks, and then Zyra moved. She stepped into the fray like a dancer, hands bare, eyes burning gold. One hunter lunged at her. She didn't dodge. She caught his wrist. Twisted on the blade, turned back into his chest. She whispered something into his ear as he died, licking the blood from her hand. Another hunter froze mid-strike, staring into her eyes as if lost in worship. She leaned close, kissed his lips softly, then slit his throat with his own blade. The battlefield bent around her. Soldiers, human and alien alike, couldn't look away. Even in death, she was art. Captain, a soldier cried, panicked. She's enjoying this. Of course she was. When the last hunter fell, silence reigned again. The squad was down by 2 men. Bodies lay broken. Zyra stood in the center, silver skin streaked with crimson, hair wild, lips curved in a predator smile. She looked like both goddess and monster, and she turned her eyes on Rian. You see now, she said softly, why your kind needs me. You fight with guns, with numbers. I fight with power older than your world. Together, Captain, we could rule them all. The soldiers shifted uncomfortably, whispering, some with anger, some with something else. Rian met her gaze, his voice cold. We're not here to rule. We're here to survive. Her laughter echoed off the canyon walls, rich and mocking. Survive? Oh, Rian, you could have so much more than survival. You could have me. The squad stiffened at her words. The air thickened, charged. For a moment, Rian almost answered, almost admitted the pull tightening in his chest, the hunger burning low in his gut. But he turned away, forcing the squad forward. And as they marched, Zyra whispered after him, her voice a blade sliding between his ribs. You'll break, Captain. They all do. The canyon finally opened into a plateau, the stars spilling across the night sky. Their shuttle waited half buried in dust, engines silent, hull scarred by plasma fire. It looked like salvation, if it could fly. The squad staggered forward, exhausted. Some limped. Others carried the wounded. Every man's eyes still flicked to Zyra, their fear of her mixing with something darker. Something they couldn't admit aloud. She walked ahead of them, almost leading, her bare feet unscathed by jagged stone. Her hair shimmered in the starlight, and though she was covered in blood, she looked more like a goddess than a prisoner. Rian kept his rifle steady, his jaw clenched. He could feel his men fraying, their discipline cracking. Zyra was poison and she knew it. She stopped near the shuttle's ramp and turned, arms spread wide. Home, sweet home, she teased, voice like honey. Or is this the part where you try to lock me in a cage again? Get inside, Rian ordered. But she didn't move. Instead, she tilted her head, eyes burning gold. Why don't you make me? A ripple of unease passed through the squad. No one moved. No one even breathed. Rian stepped forward, rifle aimed at her chest. For the second time, the barrel touched her skin. Cold metal against silver warmth. The squad held their breath. Her lips curved slowly. Go on, Captain. Pull the trigger. Yell. The only thing standing between you and the next ambush. Silence. Her hand lifted slowly, wrapping around the barrel of his rifle. She dragged it down across her body, deliberately slow, until the muzzle rested against her stomach. Her voice lowered to a whisper only he could hear. Or you could pull something else. A nervous laugh broke from one soldier before he bit it back. Rian's blood ran hot with fury, and something he hated admitting even more. He shoved her back a step. Enough. Her laughter rang across the plateau, sharp and sweet. Oh, Captain, you're so close to snapping. Do you feel it? The pull? The hunger? You're not the first human I've broken. But you, she leaned forward, close enough for her lips to graze his ear. You'll be my favorite. His fist clenched. His men watched, caught between terror and fascination. And then the sky roared. Blue streaks ripped through the stars' dropships. Dozens of them, the Empire's reinforcements. They descended like blades, engines screaming, shadows spilling across the plateau. The soldiers scrambled, shouting in panic. Weapons came up. The shuttle wasn't ready, it wouldn't lift off. In time, Zyra didn't flinch. She tilted her face to the falling ships, smiling. At last, she whispered, a real fight. The dropships landed hard, kicking up waves of dust. Hatches opened. Rows of armored troops poured out, weapons glowing with energy. Empire had come in force this time, dozens against barely a handful of exhausted humans. Rian barked orders. Defensive line. Hold the ramp. His men obeyed, forming ranks, rifles aimed. Fear cut through the air like static. Zyra strolled past them, out into the open, her silver body gleaming beneath the alien floodlights. She stretched like a predator waking from slumber, and her voice carried across the plateau. Do you want to live, Captain? She asked softly, without turning. Rian hesitated. We'll live without you. She laughed, low and sultry. No, you won't. Then she stepped forward into the storm. The Empire's soldiers opened fire. Blazing bolts lit up the night, streaking toward her. Somehow, impossibly, the air bent. The energy slowed, twisted, and spiraled away from her as though the very laws of physics obeyed her will. Gasps tore from Rion's squad. Even he froze. Stunned. XYRA lifted her hand, fingers spread. The nearest line of Empire soldiers dropped their weapons instantly, clutching their helmets, screaming as blood poured from their ears. They collapsed one by one. Her laughter rolled across the battlefield. "Didn't I tell you, Captain? You need me?" But she didn't fight for them. She fought for herself. Her beauty was horror. Her pleasure found in blood. She tore through the enemy with graceful cruelty, breaking bones, whispering words that made soldiers fall to their knees in worship before she slit their throats. The squad watched. In stunned silence, some were sick, as others were entranced, and Rian couldn't look away. The more she killed, the more intoxicating she became. Her body moved like fire, her voice laced with mockery and desire. She was both death and temptation, and he was caught between fear and hunger. At last she turned to him, drenched in blood, eyes glowing like twin suns. "Tell me, Captain," she purred, "will you die for your men, or will you live for me?" The battlefield reeked of smoke, blood, and burning metal. Bodies littered the plateau. Empire soldiers who had marched with perfect discipline only minutes ago now lay twisted, broken or groaning in pain, and in the middle of it stood Zyra. Her skin glistened, silver splattered in red. Her chest rose and fell slowly, like she hadn't even broken a sweat. Her golden eyes burned brighter than the wrecked ships still smoking around her. She turned, surveying Rion's squad, half his men, stared in horror, weapons trembling in their hands. The other half couldn't take their eyes off her. Something unspoken was passing through the group, a dangerous thought. Maybe she wasn't the enemy. Maybe she was their only hope. Maybe following her meant survival. Zyra smiled. She could taste their weaknesses. "Look at you," she purred, stepping toward them with slow, sultry grace. "Scared little humans. You hide behind weapons, behind discipline, behind orders. But deep down," her voice dropped to a whisper that still carried across the plateau, "you crave me." And one soldier, barely more than a boy, lowered his rifle, his lips parted, eyes wide. "Don't." "Dumb," snapped. But it was too late. Zyra's hand shot out like lightning, curling around the boy's chin. She lifted him with one hand, effortless. He dangled, gasping, eyes locked on her beauty, even as fear took over. "You could worship me," she said softly, almost kindly. "I'd let you. I'd even make it feel good." Then, with a snap, his neck broke. She dropped him like trash. The squad shouted in rage and horror, rifles raised again. But she laughed. "Oh, relax. I saved him from the slow death that was coming. You should thank me." Her eyes slid back to Rian, and this time, she spoke only to him. "You can't stop me, Captain. You know it. You've seen what I am, so I keep fighting." "Me?" Rian's heart thundered. He wanted to shoot her, to put a bullet straight through her glowing eyes. But his finger froze against the trigger, because part of her words were true. Without her, they'd all be dead already. His men looked at him, desperate, waiting for orders. Some wanted to fight her, others wanted to follow her. He was losing them. Zyra must have sensed it, because she stepped closer, hips swaying, her smile. "Wicked. I could save them, Rian. All of them. I could wipe this army clean from the stars, and you'd walk away untouched. Oh. All I ask is one thing." Her hand slid across his chest, her nails scraping just enough to sting. "Choose me." Squad erupted in protest. "Sir, no. She'll kill us all." Don't listen to her. But her voice drowned them out. "You feel it, don't you? That hunger inside? That voice that whispers what you really want? Stop pretending you're noble. Stop pretending you care more about them than you do about me." Her lips brushed his ear. "Let them go. Be mine." The world seemed to hold its breath. Behind them, more Empire dropships descended. Reinforcements again. Hundreds this time. The sky filled with fire. The squad broke into panic. "We're done. We can't hold this." And there it was, the breaking point. Zyra leaned closer, golden eyes devouring him. "Choose now, Captain. Your men or me?" Asterisk, the plateau trembled as the new wave of Empire dropships slammed down. Dust clouds rose like thunder. Hundreds of soldiers marched out, armor gleaming under floodlights, rifles crackling with energy. The human squad, battered and broken, tightened their line around the shuttle. Their weapons shook in their hands. They weren't warriors anymore. They were prey staring at the slaughter to come, and still. Zira stood untouched. Her silver skin glistened under the starlight, streaked with blood that only made her more beautiful. Her golden eyes burned, brighter than the ships above. She was calm, confident, terrible, and she was waiting. Rian felt the weight of the universe pressing down on him. His finger hovered on the trigger, aimed at her chest. Kill her, and maybe his men stood a chance. But deep down, he knew the truth without her. They were already dead. She smiled, sensing his struggle. Oh, Captain, I could burn them all. Every last one of your enemies. I could make the galaxy kneel at your feet, and you. She touched his cheek with her blood-slick hand. You would rule beside me. Her voice was poison. Sweet, deadly, irresistible. Behind him, his men shouted. Don't listen to her. She'll destroy us all. She's in your head, sir. But their voices sounded small, weak, fading. Zyra's words drowned them out. She pressed closer. You feel it, don't you? That hunger, that fire you've buried all your life. Let it out. Choose me, Rian. Be mine. Her lips hovered just a breath away, and in that instant time stopped. Roar of the Empire's engines, the shouts of his squad, the pounding of his own heart, everything faded. There was only her, the most beautiful, dangerous thing he had ever seen. And then he moved. Not the way she expected. His rifle dropped from his hands. But instead of surrender, his arm shot around her waist, pulling her close. His other hand pressed a detonator into the small of her back. Her golden eyes widened for the first time. He whispered into her ear.
Oh.
Steady and cold. If I can't stop you, I'll take you with me. For the first time, Zyra's smile faltered, but then she laughed. Wild, wicked laugh that shook the air. Oh, Captain, that's why I wanted you. You're not like the others. You're mine, even in defiance. The sky lit up as the Empire opened fire. Rian slammed the detonator. The plateau erupted. The shuttle, the wreckage, the ground itself split open in a blinding explosion. Fire swallowed everything Empire soldiers, dropships, and the goddess. At the center of it all, the world turned white. When the smoke cleared, silence fell. The battlefield was nothing but ash and molten stone. The Empire's reinforcements had been obliterated, and there lying in the ruins was Rian, barely alive. His armor was shattered, his skin burned, his breath shallow. But he was alive. Around him, a few of his men crawled from the wreckage, bloodied, coughing, broken but alive. Hope flickered until they heard it. A laugh, soft, low, sultry. From the smoke, she emerged, HFY raw, her silver skin charred, her body cracked and broken, but already healing. Slowly, agonizingly, she pieced herself back. Together, golden light pulsing from within, she smiled, her hair wild, her beauty darker than ever. You tried, Captain. You really did, but you can't kill me. Rian coughed, blood spilling from his lips. His men staggered to aim their rifles, but their hands shook too much to fire. Zira stepped closer, towering above him. Her hand brushing his jaw, gentle as a lover. You're mine now, she whispered. You just don't know it yet. Her lips pressed to his forehead, leaving a burning mark that seared into his skin. His body convulsed, his eyes glowing faintly gold, for just an instant before the light faded. She rose, stretching, turning her gaze to the stars, where more Empire fleets still waited, and she laughed again. The galaxy wasn't ready for her, but she was ready for it.